you went to the Monday Night Football booth, and you worked with Frank Gifford, and you worked with Howard Cosell. Talk about that experience.
Well, see, I never really wanted to go into the booth. That was really not my thing. I'm always about moving forward. Going into the booth with me is like reliving old football games where you sit in the bar and talk about what game it was and what the score was and what you did. They came to me to do Monday Night Football, and I said, I will do Monday Night Football if you give me 3 movies of the week for me to produce, direct, and star in. Then I will consider doing Monday Night Football, because I wasn't interested in doing Monday Night Football. So they made a deal with me. He says, okay, you can produce, you can direct, you can do that. Then they took me on a tour with Howard Cosell to see how he and I would get along, which was probably the worst thing they could do, because I took over all the conversations where we were, and they took us to the black community and the black stations. And that was really destructive, because they only talked to me. And Howard couldn't make any contributions to the conversation that they wanted to talk about. So Howard was totally intimidated by me. So by the time we got to the first game, he wouldn't even talk to me. He would talk about whatever it was on his mind to Frank, and he would ignore any comments that I would make. So we'd sit in the booth, and he would ignore me. So it was not good chemistry between me and Howard. Couldn't talk to Frank, because Frank didn't know what he was talking about. Frank had a spotter on each side of him telling him who ran the ball, who caught the ball, because sometimes Frank wasn't altogether there mentally. But it was an experience. And then when I went to do my films, they said, okay, we're just going to pay you off, and you're not doing very well with Howard. And I said, it's fine. I'll do my movies. This is, no, we're just going to pay you off for 3 movies of the week, just give you the check, and you can go. I said, it's fine. I'll take that too.
What was more challenging to you, making a movie or playing football?
Making a movie is easy. That's nothing. I mean, challenging is football. Football, you use everything you can muster up as a human being. Your physical side, your intellectual side, your physical challenge, the competitiveness, that doesn't exist in the movie business. Movie business to me is fun because I play football. It's not fun to me because I wanted to be an actor. I never wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a movie star. I just didn't want to do a 9-to-5 job. I didn't want to do a job. This is maybe Howard Cosell calling me now. Call this off here. No, Howard, I'm busy right now, man. I can't come to the phone. Okay, thank you, man. Not the Howard Cosell. There's a guy that intimidates, that pretends to be Howard Cosell. There's a guy who talks just like Howard on television shows. Not you, Howard. You can go back to your rest, dog. I'm not. Go back to your resting place, dude. All right.
Talk about the movies that you've made. Is the one? Let's break this down into 2 separate categories. Of the mainstream movies that you've made, you seem to talk with a lot of passion about MASH. Of the blaxploitation movies that you've made, is there one that stands out?
No, see, my career is relative to my personality. I only do what I like. I don't do anything I don't want to do. I don't do anything that's destructive to my image or destructive to my character, whether it's mainstream or whether it's something that I feel I can do and make a lot of money with. If it doesn't fit me, then I don't do it. MASH was something that was football player, okay, so that worked fine for me. All the other films that I've done fit my image, which I discussed with you, which is You Can't Kill Me, I Get My Girl, and so forth and so on. So that's important to me. I like and want to like the guy that I see in the mirror and that's looking back at me. I don't want to have to try to explain to him why I did this and why I did that. That's not possible because he ain't listening. So that's why I look the way I do with no stress in my life, because I don't accept the stress. I give the stress back to people who give it to me.
I cannot believe that you are 70 years old.
Big 70.
I look at you.
I'm a wonderful, well-kept, stress-free 70.
You look incredible. We see your face right now.
And I still do my own stunts. I never got hurt. I got no pain. I got no aches. I got no bad knees. I got no bad shoulders. I still do my own stunts because they don't have any stuntmen in Hollywood my size. They're all Eddie Murphy size. They're all, Denzel Washington size. And those guys are 5'10". There's no 6'3", 6'4" stuntman in Hollywood. So I do my own stunts, and that's part of the reason I'm in the business.
What's
I like doing that. My secret? Black jelly beans. Don't eat the white ones, dude.
You played football in the 60s.
Yeah.
You look at football in the 90s and the 2000s. Different game, different mentality. Do you wish you could have been playing now as opposed to having played then?
No, I think that the maturity that I achieved in my life came from playing from the 60s because the achievements that I made were important to me as an individual and not important to me because there were financial gains attached. It was a moment of being an achiever and achieving goals. The goals today are not about personality and character, it's about money. Anytime your goal is about money, I think you're a loser from the start because money goes and you're left with you. The game has changed because money has changed the game. Being a pro is no longer important to these guys. Now you're only as good as what you can negotiate. That's what makes a good football player. How many Heisman Trophy winners really turned out to be productive football players? How many first top 5 draft players turn out to be top football players? Lots of them come from 6th round, 7th round, 8th round. I mean, the money has changed the game and it's changed the philosophy of the player as to why he played the game.
You're working on a lot of different projects now. I had a chance to look at your resume, and you're working on a number of different projects now. I guess a Reader's Digest version, talk about the different items that are coming out, the different roles you're playing, both in front and behind the camera, and how this is fulfilling your life.
Well, I just finished a film that's an unusual character for me. I shot it ironically in Kansas City. I played a lawyer, an ACLU lawyer, who was stopping a mayor from hanging Christmas decorations on City Hall, which is against the separation of church and state, which is also against the Constitution. So that was an interesting role for me to play. I won the case. That was necessary. I'm off to Jamaica.
Did you get the girl?
There was no girl. There was no girl. Had there been one?
Yes.
But you see, I said, if I want her. So there's always that negotiation there. I'm off to Jamaica to do a film called Black Kissinger, which is a James Bond movie. I did a Bond type movie in like 1970, before the so-called black exploitation. I did it for Universal Studios. It was called That Man Bolt. We shot it in Hong Kong, we shot in Japan, we shot in Las Vegas and LA. And I was a tuxedo wearing guy who was a courier. And it was a really good film, but it was ahead of its time, even though it was financially successful. I think it made about 90 million. We made it for 5 million. It made 90 million. And I was under contract to Universal. I had a 3-picture deal with Universal. This is 1970. So they called me in and they said, the picture was successful, but we don't know what to follow up with, and we don't want to be the first to make black films with black stars. So they paid me off. Here's another company. Just paid me off, just gave me money for 3 movies. This is 1970. Then bam, 71, here comes Shaft. And now here's a whole run of pictures. Now Universal calls me back and says, we'd like to make some pictures. And I said, I'm not interested. I've already formed my own company. I don't need you anymore. Thank you very much. And I went off with Black Caesar and Hell Up in Harlem, Bucktown, Three the Hard Way, and ran off my own successful line of pictures.
In 1967, Stanley Kramer made a movie, a pioneering movie, called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And it explored the relationship between an African-American man and a white woman. And it was considered very controversial and very special in its day. Today you make that movie and people tend to think that, well, it's normal to have these kind of interracial marriages. You think that's good? Because I think that's a good thing.
Movies are supposed to be about people. They're supposed to be about characters. What we lost between that time and this time are the characterizations of people. It's all about people. It's not about color. It's not about anything more than how I feel about you and how you feel about me. If you happen to be white and I like you better than for this particular moment than this lady sitting over there that happens to be black, that's where I'm going. Movies have changed today because they don't make movies about characters anymore. They don't care about the personality, about the character. They only care about special effects. This is a special effects world we live in. You know, if you can't stare at the camera and have your ears go out and your nose open and your eyes change and you jump in the air and fly away, then you're not really fitting into the mainstream. Mainstream has the characterizations of people have been lost in the movies today. Our movies back in the day, starting with that one, was about people. Was about how people relate to each other. That's what my movies are about. That's why my movies were so successful in the 70s. They were about characters. Black people, there is a definite difference between black people and white people. The way we walk, the way we talk, the way we express ourselves. So if you're going to make a movie with a black person, you can't take that away. You got to give that back to him. I mean, I'm a Northwestern graduate, but I'm sitting here every now and then. I'll bust a few verbs and say a few things, but I'm an NU graduate, right? And I ain't embarrassing Northwestern by saying ain't and isn't and those. I mean, hey, that's the way I talk, and it's me, and I'm not going to change that. They don't do that. They don't care about that today. They just want special effects and not characterizations.
I'm going to give you a blank check right now. You fill in the amount. It is for you to do anything you want to do that you haven't done before. What would you do with it?
Give it to a 6'4" blonde and run off into the sunset. Cash your check and you'd never see me again.
And take me with you. Thanks, Hammer.
Okay.